Okay, good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Stuart Finlay. I'm the club manager at Rada Golf Club, and with me is the course manager, Julian Doughty. And this evening, we're going to run through the winter program presentation. Normally, we do this presentation in the clubhouse every year, but unfortunately, due to COVID-19, obviously we can't do that at this time. So we're going to do our best to go through the winter program as we normally would, give you as much detail as we can, and Julian's going to take you through a presentation at the moment. But before we go into that, I know Julian and I just wanted to have a bit of a brief chat. We are going to try and keep this as relaxed as we can as we move through the presentation. But Ju, from your opinion, it's been a bit of a year so far. We've had 6 months of pretty much disruption throughout. And how are you? How are the team? And what's your feelings on the year so far?
Yeah, it's. I was trying to think what was the worst disruption: the wet winter of last year or COVID. It wasn't a lot of difference, I don't think. But no, I mean it's not been, as I think I've said previously. It's been a tough year, certainly one of the toughest as a greenkeeper since I can remember, but I feel we've come out of it okay. You know, we've been, the staff have been absolutely brilliant. I can't stress that enough. As everyone knows, we've been running on, you know, sort of 50% staff really, and reduced budgets, and you know, it's not been easy at all, but I think the end result is that I don't think the course has deteriorated by 50% at all. And you know, I know the boys are as well. We're proud of what we've achieved, but I think generally overall it's been pretty tough. But you know, no one knows what's going to happen the next week or the week after. But I sort of feel a bit more relaxed now because the grass has stopped growing, if that makes sense. And initially, when this all went, you know, back in March, there was no growth, and I felt sort of quite relaxed about it. And then it just went mental, and that's when, you know, we haven't sort of stopped really, but now it's slowed down a bit and gives us all time to get back on top of things. But you know, overall pleased, you know, considering resources, what we've done. Missed the visitors, I think, generally. The biggest thing, I think, as well, you know, we used to prepare for big golf days, and there's been none of that, which has sort of been good, really. It's less pressure. But you do miss visitors as well, you know. So, yeah, but it's been funny, and I'm sure within time we'll be back to normal.
Yeah, I think so, and I think, and that's what this presentation is sort of entitled, isn't it? You know, getting back on track, which is what really now the rest of this year and going into next year is all about. You know, and on your point on the fact that, you know, hosting big championships, we were due to host the boys and girls championship with Wales Golf, which was the first championship we'd had back at the club in a while, and unfortunately that's been taken away from us due to COVID-19. But fingers crossed we'll get those kind of events back. And I think, yeah, you're right that you and all the guys, you know, everyone at RADA should be very proud of the job that you've done, because it's certainly not been easy, and to produce the standard of golf course that you have and is now being seen by all of our members and visitors who are coming back to us, I think is, and the good will and reports that we're getting back is testament to the hard work of you guys, really. But I think if we get into the presentation then, Drew, I mean, as I said, it's getting back on track. So if we go into the first slide, raising the standard, what kind of things are we going to be looking at going into this year?
Yes, there's a lot of attention to detail. I'm not saying we've missed out, but we perhaps would normally do this sort of thing over the summertime, but we've just not had time. But there's, as we know, we've got quite a few tees with railway sleepers, steps, that sort of thing, and they just need restaining, really. There's a lot of them, and you know, particularly this one, which is the first tee. It's just a matter of just tidying things up generally, really, and it really is simply restaining them, and they you know, perhaps edging them as well, that sort of thing, like the 14th tee there. As you can see there, it doesn't look, it looks a bit shabby, but it's just really attention to detail throughout the course. You know, your tee, your marker posts, that sort of thing, which now we've got time to do, really. You know, it's now things have stopped growing. And next week Tim is back with us on the Monday 19th, so we'll be up to 5 staff. Admittedly, there's, you know, people have to take the holidays and that, but that's really just attention to detail, really. Just bringing things back.
And that's what I think, you know, the big, I say the big resorts, any club, attention to detail is, it becomes even more important. I think the expectation now of customers and members and guests that come to the club is that, you know, standards are high. And I think we set that bar for ourselves last year, didn't we? With, you know, the way the course was and the way in which the club performed overall. So I think, yeah, it's an important part of what we're doing moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly I notice things like that, and if I notice them, I'm not happy about them, we'll do something about it. You know, it's things like that do matter, I think. You know.
So as we move on, and obviously we did some drainage work last year, didn't we, on the 2nd and the 9th? So do you want to talk us through what you're going to do this winter?
Yeah, I mean, to sort of summarise, that winter of last year was particularly bad, and a couple of the greens, particularly 7 and to the left of 12, suffered quite badly, and it was basically through waterlogging. It's as simple as that. And if the soil is saturated underneath, the grass plant struggles to live, and they thinned out in places on the 2 of the greens, and the water had nowhere to go. It's as simple as that. We've done a lot of drainage on the greens, but it's just doing a bit more. And I think, you know, 9 and 2 the year before last were particularly bad. So we did something about that, and now they're really good. But the 7th in particular suffered. So it's just a matter of putting a drain down through the middle of it. It's one area, it is. And, you know, if we get a normal winter, I don't think they would suffer, but I just don't want to be in a position where we were last year, where they suffered, you know, in places. Just being a bit proactive, really, I suppose is the word. So it's a simple drain. It's not like a herringbone system like we did on 2 and 9. It's minimal disruption. The green will be closed whilst doing it. It's a par 3. It makes it a bit tricky. But yeah, just simple drainage work. Yeah. That's it. Just to prevent what we had last year, really.
Yeah. And then obviously 12, the same thing.
Yeah, similar on 12. It was the sort of walk-off area on the left there, sort of 10, 15 yards on. Just past the bunker. It's a simple drain from there to the front of the green, to prevent, you know, any waterlogging, really, just so the water can go somewhere. Yeah. But it's probably, you know, we'll probably do one drain one week and another the next week, you know, and it's a matter of days where the greens will be closed, certainly while the digger's on there doing it. Yeah. You know, minimal disruption, but it's a necessity, you know. And we've sort of focused on those 2 worst areas. But say we get a normal winter, and I'm pretty confident we wouldn't have a problem. But I just don't want to be in that situation again. Yeah,
normal hasn't been quite what we've been used to this year, is it? Let's be fair.
No, exactly, yeah.
So just for the benefit of members that might or might not be aware, obviously drainage is important in any landscape, even more in particular for a golf course. Why is having water near the surface tube? What kind of damage is that going to do to your plant and the health of the greens and things like that?
Well, the plant is a living thing like us. You know, it needs oxygen. And And what we do when we sort of aerate the surface, we're trying to get oxygen into the soil. And when the soil is waterlogged, there's no oxygen there, and the plant can't breathe, to sort of make it quite simple. And then you'll sort of lose density on the sward of the grass and that sort of thing. So you're just doing these things just to keep the plant healthy, really. Yeah. You know, it needs oxygen, and all the aeration we do, we're just getting oxygen in the soil.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll suffer, you know.
Yeah. So we've got many trees, obviously, at Ryder. Some of them are becoming issues. Obviously, we've got some hedges as well. So what kind of things you were looking at there, Jim?
Yeah, it's again, it's a living thing, and living things grow. And I sort of look back over the years. It's 18 years now I've been there, and I'm sort of walking around the course or driving around. And I think, oh, we used to mow around that, and things grow without realising. And it's just, it's something we do most years, but there's areas like this, for example, the 13th green. It's just overhanging branches more than anything. But a lot of the perimeters, particularly around tees, 18th is a good example. 1st, 7th, overhanging branches for two main reasons: for our benefit, whilst we're mowing. Sort of health and safety wise, you don't want it sort of branches flicking in your face and that sort of thing, but also for plant health as well. If you're stood on the ground looking up, you don't really want to see anything for a healthy soil. And if this is shadow in the grass, you're going to get thinning of grass. So it's just maintenance, to be honest. Things grow and they need cutting back.
Yeah, because that particular, and actually that photo, members might remember that this was in our winter program. Was it? It wasn't last year. It was the year before, wasn't it? I think where
we turfed the area.
Yeah, this area on 13 was pretty bad, wasn't it? Yeah. That actual photo just shows the progress that area has made.
Exactly. I mean, that's yards from the green there, but we did quite a bit of pruning there at one point, but it just needs something. I mean, something like that might be a bit out of our hands. We might have to get outside contractors in, but it's a necessary task, to keep the surface good.
Yeah. Obviously, I know we were out there walking on the course last week and looking at some of the trees that are starting to encroach. For example, this one on 15 left-hand side, and maybe starts to interfere with play for some members and some guests. So, again, it's an important thing for us to do.
Yeah, I mean, this area in particular is more for our benefit, to be honest. I mean, it is in the rough. I'm obviously not too concerned about the grass coverage there as I would be next to the green, but there's a pretty wide fairway there as well. But this is sort of more for our benefit, this particular area. But it's throughout the course. It's more so perimeters and tees, as I say.
Yeah, and we can see it. Although that's one of the paths which we've got in the photo here. Path renovations is something you're going to be doing as well, Drew?
Yeah, there's that. I mean, I haven't sort of put that in the winter program. It's just it's sort of in there naturally. It's something really down to aesthetics as well. It's all the path where they need sort of edging and topping up with dust. One or two of them, like the 2nd and 18th, you do it, and the next day you get washed down, and then you've got to put it back, which can be a bit frustrating. But we have discussed, and one day I'm sure it will happen, that we look at more permanent surfaces on problem paths like 2 and 18 and 10. Which you can just sort of go down with a leaf blower every now and again and clean it off, like a tarmac type thing. We have talked about it, and but obviously very costly.
Yeah, yeah, I think it would have been possibly something we'd have looked at this year if obviously the recent activity wouldn't have happened. But
Yeah, yeah.
this is obviously another area 18, which again I know we were out there a couple of days ago having a look at this, and that is becoming a bit of an issue, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I mean, that is, I mentioned that earlier. This is a typical area by some of the teas. I think the 14th is something similar, 7th. Yeah, I mean, that sort of work we can do as long as we can do it at ground level. Yeah, it's that's probably just a few years growth. That's all. So it's just tree maintenance, really.
Yeah, and we got a gorse bush which looks slightly out of place down the right hand side, which has been sort of outlined for removal as well. And yeah, it doesn't normally feature on a parkland golf course, is it?
No, no, I don't know how it got there, to be honest, but yeah, we'll sort of look at that at the same time.
Yeah. So the approaches, I know we did some work on these, and they've improved massively over the last few years. I know the main reason for doing these was because we wanted to try and get that consistency between the greens and the approaches for players playing shots in the holes and being able to play either that low shot or at least having a bit more firmness on those approaches. But what's the plan for this year, Stu?
Yes, again, I mean, years ago we've only had approaches probably, I don't know, 8 years, something like that, and we just sort of mowed them out of the fairway. But to increase the quality of the surface, they have to be maintained, and we're sort of almost to the stage now where we're maintaining the approaches similar to the greens. Obviously, not quite the same to the standard, but yeah, years ago the approaches were very, very spongy and soft. Build up of organic matter, which we all know that is the thatch there, becomes very spongy. And then you had that contrast, really soft and spongy, and then onto a firm green. And we've just been firming them up and improving the quality of the surface. We'll be removing organic matter by use of the grading and vertidraining and top dressing, that sort of thing, along with the tees. And we've actually started the tees this week and hope to get those done, or certainly phase 1 done with the grading. It's a deep scarifying, that is what you can see. It's just a different way of removing organic matter.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we were sort of working from the green out now, and you almost take as much care with the approaches as we do the greens now, because they've come on so well.
Yeah, I think it's a very modern approach to golf courses now, isn't it? In terms of how the importance of those approaches and making sure the condition is as good as you can be, really.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, certainly you see it a lot. Lots of places don't have approaches at all, but yeah, they're sort of, it's the green extension as such, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So overall, I think the ambition, like we said, with obviously doing some of the staining on the wood around the golf course, is to improve the aesthetics, and this is just another example, Julia.
Yeah, that's right. This is in the area to the right of 11, and just little areas like that. So we'll take out the lower branches, and just so you can see a clean trunk, and just looks a lot better, but also enables us to get in there. Twice a year we'll cut it with the flail cutter. We've got to take the tractor in and out of there. So if it's not done annually, it's twice as much work next year. So it's a matter of just going through certain areas in our own time, really, and just cleaning the areas up, tidying them up, ready to cut the following year. But it will look a lot better as well if all you can see is the trunk.
Yeah. And in terms of touch on aesthetics, I mean, some members will be aware, some won't, that we bought a new piece of machinery last year, which has had a big impact on the way in which we can cut certainly the semi and the surrounds of the greens. Do you want to sort of talk about what impact that has had?
Yeah, it was a replacement semi-rough mower really. It's instead of, I mean, I think the one we were using was 20 years old. It was a cylinder mower. This one is a brand new machine that we bought, a rotary cutter, which has a lot more guts in it, a lot more power. You can really cut in any conditions with it. But we've also introduced semi-rough around the greens previously, probably more to do with time than anything. We weren't cutting around the green, so now you have your green, your collar, and then your sort of runoff area. And previously that runoff area would go to heavy rough, but now we've got a sort of 3-yard strip, 3-4 yard strip, where it goes from runoff to semi-rough and then heavy rough, which a lot of people have actually commented on as well. So it's a lot quicker than the other the other machine as well. And also we managed to cut some T-banks with it, that sort of thing. So I think it just goes to show that you have to keep up to date with modern equipment really as well. You know, if you sort of look at these things, you think, well, we've got this one, that will do the job. But I think if you invest in you know, the right machine for the job, it just benefits everyone all around, really.
Yeah, agreed. Aeration, we talk about this quite often, and I know we do a lot of work on it. But do you want to talk in particular? We had the Oxy Shop with us, didn't we? Back in the last year, and it was very good, wasn't it?
Yes, this is another form of, it's the sort of next best thing you get to a drain, really. As you say, the water has to go somewhere. And if you haven't got drains, you try and get the water to go as deep as possible. When we verti-drain, you see that's the holes in the green. They'll go down, you know, 9 to 10 inches. This goes down a couple of feet, and it's one spike. A lot of the members have probably seen us using it. That's injected into the ground, and then air is released, and it breaks up the surface compaction down below. And sometimes you break it up, and you can hit something down. I don't know what, but sometimes you hit something down, and the water will just keep going down. So, but those holes will be backfilled with like a sand type material. And it's just purely a way of getting oxygen in the soil, as I previously mentioned, to keep the plant healthy and getting the water through the surface. And they're done usually sort of meter spacings throughout the green. You probably get 3 or 4 greens done in a day, and this time we're sort of being proactive with this as well, because last time we used it January, February time, I think it was, by which time things were a bit wet. So this time we've got this in at the end of November, before it gets too wet as such. So that's what we're doing. We've got it for a week. I'd just like to take this opportunity to bear with us on this, because we've got it on hire with a contractor, and it's in the middle of the green, and that particular green where we're working on during that day will be closed, I'm afraid, but there's no other way around it, particularly sort of health and safety wise.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know,
but we'll be on.
Yeah, we've learned from that, haven't we? That, you know, we need to get it in sooner, and it's important for us to get that little bit earlier than we did last year. Yeah, it might be disruption for a small amount of time, but the long-term benefits are huge, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, I mean, it might even be raining when we're doing it, and there won't be too many golfers out there anyway. So,
while we're on sort of aeration, I know normally renovations take place, and they're quite disruptive, aren't they? You know, we've done them, we do them for a reason, because again, talking about organic matter and making sure that the golf course in the long term is in the best condition it can be, and in particular the greens. Where renovation this year is going to be slightly different, just from a greens perspective. We had a greens committee, and I've talked to Julian about this. I think we're going to do it on a smaller basis. We feel as though the members have had quite a bit of disruption this year, whether it be through COVID or not being able to play or whatnot. So, what's the plans, you, for sort of the small renovations?
Yeah, we'd normally sort of spend a 2-week period, doing quite disruptive renovation. We'd use probably 50 ton of sand. And I remember, I think it was booked in for something like 16th of September, and we had a lovely week. And I thought, I wish we'd done it now, but we're not going to do it. It won't. We're going to do something. I don't know what yet. I probably won't know till the week before. A lot depends on the weather, but it's something that we're going to do. I don't want to skip it totally. But we're going to do sort of mini renovations, and it's just far less disruption. It'll be spread over, well, I think we've got the week booked, but hopefully we can sort of knock it out in a few days. It'll be some sort of aeration, but on a minimal disruption.
Yeah.
I certainly won't be putting 50 ton of sand on the greens at that time of year. You probably wouldn't even see the grass till February if I did that. So we'll probably use, I don't know, 10 ton perhaps spread over 20 greens. If that, we'll see. But yeah.
I mean, in terms of organic matter, we've mentioned it a few times, and I know, just so members are aware, really, we use Sports Turf Research Institute, don't we, Ju, who are STRI as they're known, and they come in and they'll analyse our turf for us, and in particular the health of the plant and the subsoil underneath, to ensure that we've got certain parameters then that Julian works towards that help us to know exactly where the greens are. And you're pretty happy at the moment, Ju, with where they are.
Yes, we although we didn't get the STRI in this year, I still sent samples away. I was perhaps slightly concerned because usually the wetter the winters, the more the build-up of organic matter, and if the growing conditions are good as well, you don't get those cold spells. Organic matter can build up, and over the winter we didn't, perhaps due to conditions, we didn't do the things we'd normally do to the greens, or on a minimal basis. And I sort of fearing that the organic matter might have gone up slightly, but it was really pleasing at the start of March time and April time. I think I had the results back, and they hadn't gone up at all, which was really pleasing. If the results go up, they've set target figures. If those target figures go up, we're more aggressive with the renovations. It's that simple, really. So nice to know that they've stayed steady, on target. So yeah, that was pleasing, because that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one, we've obviously, one of the things that the committee should be certainly commended for is we've really tried to look at what facilities we need for the staff as well, haven't we? And one of the areas that was I don't know how to describe the last one we had, Ju, to be honest, with the dry room and the shower room. It had been there for how many years had you had it?
20, 25 years, I think it was.
Yeah. So it was certainly in of renovation, and we managed to do that last year, didn't we?
Yeah, which is a great, massive improvement, and surprising, really. Just having a new dry room, the difference it does make. Before previously, that's our toilets and shower block as well, and you just really didn't even want to go in there, because you probably get wetter going in there than if you stayed outside.
Yeah.
But no, it makes a massive difference, and I think welfare of the boys is important. So yeah, it's the mess room next.
Yeah, so the aim next year, just to let the members know, is at some point, probably the beginning of next year, is to look at the mess room, and that's needed an upgrade for quite some time. So we'll be hopefully looking at that early part of this year. But yeah, as you said, it's certainly a big lift. That's pretty much the end of it, Drew. But I suppose before we finish, it's probably your chance now to get across if there's 3 or 4 things you want the members to sort of focus on as we come into the winter, and protecting that golf course and making it and keeping it as good as it is. Obviously, we're going to be doing some roping off now as we come into the winter. What sort of the key messages for you to the members?
I think you all know what I'm going to say here, Stu, is pitch marks. Yeah, I mean, it's, I try and put it in as I previously said, I don't like keeping on about pitch marks all the time, but it really doesn't take much to repair your pitch marks, and people aren't doing it, and worse so perhaps is that people are doing it incorrectly. And what I thought about doing is just a little video to the members, just to show how to, because if you're not repairing your pitch mark properly, it's almost as bad as not doing it at all. So perhaps we'll do a little video just showing you how to repair it properly. But it is very annoying, and it must be more annoying for the golfers, which I don't really get why people don't fix them. It's but that's the main thing. I hate seeing people dragging their trolleys between bunkers and greens. That's another bugbear of mine.
Yeah.
And just keeping within, majority. I don't like moaning, but that's all I'm asking really. Is just to respect the course, really simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't hit golf balls whilst we're on the greens. That's another bugbear of mine.
There we are. Well, you got your 3 in there altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, I think overall, we're all hugely proud of that golf course, aren't we? And it's a great golf course. It's in a great location. It's always in good condition, and that's that's what we want for the members and for people to come there to enjoy it. And that's bottom line. That's why you and I do our job, isn't it? Really, for people to come and have a nice time when they come and play golf.
That's right, Stu. We haven't got a bad manager either, Stu. He's all right.
I didn't tell him to say that, by the way. That's not in the script. But yeah, I mean, I don't have to say it again, Stu, but I know the Greens chair, Greens committee, and the members all think you've done a fantastic job during COVID. It's been a tough time for everyone, and hats off to you and the boys. And it'll be nice now to get Timmy back and back up to a full capacity. And of course, let's not move away from it. Obviously, we lost Mel as well, which was a big loss. But we know he's doing well, and that's the main thing. I know you've talked to him, and I've texted him to see how he is as well, and that's good to know that he's doing okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll leave it there. If members have got any questions following on from the presentation, they can just drop me an email, manager@radagolf.co.uk, or as always, we're always Julian. You'll see him out on the golf course. Maybe not first thing in the morning. Don't ask you questions when you're too busy, but we're always available if anyone wants to ask us a question, and we'll come back to you as soon as we can. But thanks, Stu. Thanks for taking the time.
No problem.
And we will see you soon.
Cheers.